We've spent a lot of time looking at what do we do best and refreshing our mission. So through that process, we've developed a focus on getting people past the limitations of poverty, inequity, and social isolation, which are three serious issues in our community.
After World War II, there was a lot of family disruption, and United Way and the Planning Council thought the community needed a nonprofit counseling service for these families. And so Catherine Clark was recruited to start the agency and build it up.
And Metropolitan Family Services performed that function for a number of years. And when I became the director, they were still in that mode of being primarily an organization that provided counseling and mental health services.
Some of the biggest things that happened when I was here in terms of program and administrative both. I think probably the first one was the shift away from mental health, or what we called counseling in those days, when that was the biggest part of MFS programs, about 2/3 of our entire agency, maybe a little more, and those all spun off to another agency. So not only was it an opportunity for us to develop a lot of new programs, but it was a huge shift in the size and scope of what our organization had done. At that time, we worked with United Way and other partners to decide what are we going to fill this void with that counseling left, and started working in the community in outer Southeast Portland at Lane Middle School. That's when it first started, and developed a program that eventually turned into what is now Sun Schools.
You know, in the past, if you look at the history of MFS, we started really out of the social work tradition, but now what we see is we're attracting people from a variety of different backgrounds, education, people who've done work overseas in NGOs. We are working with people who come from the for-profit field for the first time, who are really wanting to do meaningful service. So we have to come up with new ways to train people. So looking at a person's way of interacting with their community member is one way that we can unite our language and the way that we approach the work we're doing.
There's a lot of talk about collective impact, and you can only do that through effective collaboration. And that takes sacrifice from all parties, and it takes a lot of relationship building. And it takes something that sometimes boards struggle to understand, because you have to answer the question, what's in it for us? And in fact, some days you're sharing more than you're getting. But in order to be successful with collective impact, you have to be a leader in collaboration. And I think Metropolitan Family Service is a leader today in collaboration.
Well, one of the things that the board did during my tenure here at MFS was start a GOG, a Gathering of Good. And it really was in honor and memory of Eileen Johnson, who was a board leader for many, many years. And it's really turned into a wonderful thing. And I think it really reflects the best of MFS, because it's such a strong combination of donors and volunteers and thoughts and community engagement.
As times change and the needs of organizations change, Metropolitan has actually been part, and that flexibility that they have to make that change is why I think they're still here after 50 or 60 years. And so I think that it's really a testament to the organization and the people that have been around it, the boards and the directors, who have understood that need for change and made that change when it was necessary.
I can remember sitting in an executive committee meeting and them saying, Ron, this year I think we've got to start raising money. And there was a lot of arguing around the table about what we should do. But finally, one board member persisted, and his name was Larry Black, and he provided the leadership for the first couple of classic wine auctions.
As our community becomes more and more culturally diverse, MFS is committed to being a culturally responsive organization. So we've formed some partnerships with culturally specific organizations that can provide leadership in this area, And we've been part of a collaborative called Successful Families 2020 that is a transformational community grant that United Way has funded. We're one of 6 partners involved in this effort to reduce childhood poverty, and with a specific focus on communities of color and the disparities that exist. There is no way that any one organization can keep up with the needs in this community. We have to do it together.
MFS has always been a very innovative, professional, quality-oriented service that has strong volunteer leadership and is a caring organization.
Metropolitan Family Service is ever-changing.
You know, I can sum it up in 3 words: help, hope, and healing.
When I think about MFS, I think about it as a vehicle for change.